Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters. I would like to introduce Fred Haley. Fred has been an active member of Toastmasters for 16 years. He has served as division governor twice, area governor 4 times, on his way to earning 2 distinguished Toastmasters awards. Fred currently is our Global Leaders Club president. Today, Fred will be speaking to us today about speech introductions. Picture this. You are behind the curtain, getting ready for your first appearance as a professional speaker. The host of the event is introducing you. You finally come on stage, you look around at the audience. What are they thinking? Are they excited to hear you? Do you think you can help them? Do you know what you are going to talk about? Or are they smiling politely while silently daydreaming about going home, or are they just staying to be polite? It is not the host of the Toastmasters that they responsibility to motivate the audience to pay attention. It's you as the speaker. Our presenter today, Fred Haley, has given several hundred speeches, keynote addresses, and workshops. He has created compelling introductions for each one. In his workshop, Fred will share some helpful tips to help you create your own signature speech introduction. Follow along in the handout. Craft your next introduction that will make your audience want to listen to you before you even reach the stage. Please welcome Fred Haley as he talks about your signature speech introduction. Come on back.
So, do you have an idea what I'm going to talk about today?
Yeah.
Are you interested in learning how to create a good introduction? Yes. Do you think I can help you?
Yes.
You see that I did something unusual today. I actually gave you my introduction. What did you think of the introduction? Wonderful. Oliver?
It was okay.
Weren't there not 2 different introductions there? The first one, up until that line, and then the second one, I started, picture this, the whole tone changed. Let's start with the handout. Now ask the question, what is the goal of an introduction? There are 4 I put down. One is so the audience will believe you can HT.
Help them.
Help them. The audience wants to know that you can help them. Then the audience also wants to believe that you W to HT. You want to help them. I may be able to help you, but if I don't want to, if you can pick that up, you're not going to want to listen. And then the third, let you assess your audience's M. Mindset, mood, sure. If you want to come up and give a big uplifting one, but your audience is dragging or tired, or if you want to be happy and they're sad, you need to pick up on that really quickly so that you don't start off wrong and just not make that connection. And then the 4th thing I put down for us is reveal your signature. For those of you who are guests, this whole series is a signature series for a professional speaker. If you're a professional speaker, no matter what area, you have something unique you were talking about. Just like your handwritten signature, you are known for that signature. So have a signature introduction. And make sure that your audience knows that right at the beginning. Now this whole introduction is before you even get up on the stage. Let's put this in a different perspective. Linton has his own gym. He has trainers. You go in and say, Linton, I need a personal trainer. Linton brings over one of his employees and says, here's Marcus Aurelius. Marcus is really good. He went to the same high school as you. He went to Ridgemont High. He has a master's degree in philosophy. He's written a book on love poems. Marcus is going to be your trainer today. Are you gonna get really excited about Marcus as being your trainer? No? Why? Why?
I don't care about his love stories.
Oh, okay. You don't care about what has Linton told you that would help you? Do you know that Marcus can help you? Do you know that Marcus wants to help you, except Marcus wants to make some money? No. So when Linton would introduce you, he would say, here is Marcus. Marcus has been working for us for a year. He has a master's in physical fitness. He has some training background. He will go through things that are important to you, that make you know that he can help you and that he wants to help you. Well, if that's just a one-on-one introduction, what's the difference in the speech? What's the difference? Right. What's the difference in coming up? When you come up, and we've said before, when you come up to give a speech, what are you doing? You're talking to one person. You are talking to the audience, one person at a time. So if you were talking to one person about, you be introduced one person at a time. Let's talk about what you would want to put in your introduction. Think about it. What is your topic? That's in the handout. What are your topics? Start to write down some of your notes.
I don't quite understand what you mean when you introduce yourself. You're talking to one person one at a time. When you're actually in an audience at home, are you saying you are to see your topic as something that you are talking to individuals? Or what do you mean?
A good speech is a conversation. A good and conversation is one-on-one. I am talking to you. I am talking to you. Each one person. If I said, hi everybody, how are things today? How are you doing? I want to help everybody. Well then, I'm not helping you. I may be helping everybody else. I want you to know that you are important to me. In any speech, I want you to know, even if there's a lot of other people around, I want to help you. If I say everybody, then I've collected everybody. But that may not be me. Maybe the person next to me. So in my speeches, I encourage you to think about one person, the audience. Those times when we have the eye contact with one person, that is looking at you. And I want you to see that you are important. It's the same way with the introduction, before we even get started. Today I want to help you start to prepare an introduction that's going to be helpful for you in all your future speeches, whether it's a signature, whether it's just a speech at a club, anything. Let's go back to what I wrote. The first part of the introduction that Scott read. What helped you when he said, I've been an active member for 16 years, earned 2 DTMs, anything, and was club president. Did that inspire you on introductions?
Yes, it did.
Why?
2 PPMs for one thing. I mean, I'm struggling getting one.
But what did that do to make you know that I could help you with introductions?
Your communication skills.
Okay.
Your leadership skills.
Okay.
Earning 2 DTMs is a commitment.
Okay.
Credibility.
Credibility. Mm-hmm. Yes. Good. How about the rest of it? When I start to say, picture this. Was that different? How did that put in a different perspective? Suddenly it wasn't me standing up here, it was you getting ready, and someone was supporting or trying to help you be ready. Suddenly you were the person in the picture, not the speaker. We talked about your signature topic, what you were going to do to help somebody else. You are not going to go up there to help yourself when that person is doing it, whatever that person is doing. You want to support that person so that when that person starts to do what you've been teaching them, they remember what you say. So it's all about the audience, all about you. So what I've tried to do in that introduction is the same thing as we have in number 2. Think about what my topic was, introductions. What the problem or the issue was, an introduction that does not connect with the audience. Introduction by the host or the Toastmasters today that does not connect. That does not make the audience excited to hear you. What's my message? My message is going to be about creating your own introduction.
Where are you at, sir? You
Number 2 on the handout.
preparation, right?
Under preparation, yes.
What is my signature topic? What is, so that's our individual topic.
Yep, everyone will have your own. How will my message help the audience? In my introduction, what did I say? I said, I knew that the problem would be that I could help your audience, was on the next page. Help you create an introduction that will make your audience want to listen to you before you even reach the stage. That was one of the next to the last slides. Why am I qualified to speak on the topic? Well, in this case, for mine, I said, I presented several hundred speeches and created compelling introductions for each one. Okay, confession time. I've done hundreds of speeches. I created introductions for each one. They not always were compelling. They were the same boring ones that I've heard too many times. Fred has been club president. He's been a member for 16 years. He's been doing this, but it didn't tell the audience what I was going to talk about. Now he's going to talk about riding a bus. Well, what's that have to do with being a club president? The introductions start to tell the audience what we're going to talk about, how it will help them. The idea today is to help you start to present and prepare an introduction that you will hand the host to introduce you before you get up on the stage. So that's what this whole worksheet is for, to help you do that. What I'm going to do is go through some of this content and outline, and I'm going to ask a couple of you to prepare your own. I had some other examples of other people, but I think I'll just hold off on them. I want you to create yours. I want you to do it and start so we can all evaluate, all comment on it. So think about it. First, as far as content, put you or your to address the audience. Put you or your in the introduction. Start with something that's compelling. A quote, an anecdote, a story, a fact, a joke, something related to the topic. Did that sound familiar? A quote, a story, a fact, a humor story, a joke. Isn't that what they tell us to start our own speeches with?
Right.
Yeah. Why?
Grab away people's attention.
Attention.
Yeah.
It doesn't
But-
sometimes relax
Yes.
the audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's all the same. But
Bring the audience into your speech, because the story may relate to something that they have experienced, and they're anxious to hear about your experience. So,
Exactly. You're starting to make that connection. But if you have walked up on the stage and haven't already built that connection, then you have to do a lot more work, don't you? If you are on the stage and your host hasn't already set the stage for you and already started to say, I trust this person, I want you to listen to him because he's going to help you, then you have to start all over again. Yes, it's the same thing. And when you start your own speech, you may relate to some of these, say, as Scott mentioned, and go into it. But you've already built that connection before you've gotten up there. You want your audience, again, you want your audience to be excited to hear you and to know that they are going to get something out of it. It's something I've said many times before. What is the goal of a speaker? The goal of a speaker is to add value to your audience. When your audience leaves, your audience wants to feel that they've gotten something that will help them. Whether it's solving a problem or getting some pleasure, whether it's to learn some information or to know how to respond to something. They're going out better than when they came in. And the whole introduction is starting to set the stage so that they will want to listen to you. So start by thinking, what would you want the host to say that would be one of these things? What results could my audience achieve? So you've got the problem, you've got the results. Then you start with the credibility. What milestone have you achieved to say that I can do the same thing? Your audience wants to know that you've done something, hundreds of speeches, compelling introductions, that can help them. And then all of that will be put together to add some suspense or curiosity. Are you thinking about your own introduction, your own speeches?
I got one question. I have one question.
Okay, good, I'll get you. Well, let's go through this. I like this outline for any speeches, and it worked well for the introduction also. Pain, promise, process. And for an introduction, it's on the back page. Process, last one is proof. Pain. So you start to think about an outline for your introduction. It starts with the pain. What is the audience's pain? What is the audience struggling with? They have introductions that aren't connecting with their audience. What is the promise? How will things improve? Wouldn't you want to have an introduction that connects with your audience and gets them excited to hear you? Process. What are you going to talk to them about? Fred will talk to you about creating a compelling introduction that connects with your audience. And proof. What are your credentials? Why can the audience trust you? What makes you unique to be able to talk about this? Fred has done hundreds of speeches. And then make it conversational. When Scott was reading the introduction, did it sound like he was talking to the audience, or did it sound like he was talking to you? When he said, you are behind the curtain, getting ready for your first appearance. Was he talking to the person sitting next to you, or was he talking to you? You can picture yourself behind that curtain. You. And then some notes. Think about this. Keep it short, because the audience does not want to listen a lot to the host. They want to listen to you. That's why they came here. Big font, so the host can read it. Now, this is 16-point font. I've done it in 14 and 16-point font, and sometimes people complain that it's too small. Yeah. Know with your audience, work with them. But make it large, and then make it 1.5 to 2 to double space, so it's easy to read. And if you'd like, you see how I highlighted for the host, for Scott, some notes, how I'm presenting. Silently count to 2 before the next line. That was my note to Scott to say, pause, because it had more effect. It would, and you can do that. The whole idea of an introduction is what? Is to set that stage for you when you come up, for the audience to be excited. Any way you can get him to do that, or her to do that, in the introduction, you can do it on the introduction. Keep your sentences short, and add the presentation notes at the end. And if you want to do this in a Toastmaster meeting, and you want to include the manual information, you can say he's speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual, speech number 10, inspire your audience. Or you can just say, Fred will inspire you, and at the same time try to encourage you to weave it into it as part of the conversation rather than a punch in the face statement. You can't do that. All right, let's be honest. When we come to give a speech, how often do we come to the meeting, sit down, and write out those introductions?
Often.
Often.
Or don't do them at all.
Can you, or don't do them at all? Can you do that if you're going to do a really compelling introduction? Have to prepare ahead of time. And it also helps you, when you, to be honest, it helps you when you create an introduction because you start to think about what you're saying. So this is also a good way to help you prepare your speech by creating that introduction. Helps you to focus on your message, helps you to prepare that connection. So, your turn. Start to think about an introduction. Introducing your audience's problem, write down the note. I'd like to hear a couple people's ideas. How you would present your own introduction. How could their situation be better? What will you talk to them about? If you can, why are you unique? And what is your experience? That's your turn. We are going to hear Linton's. We have several people who are giving speeches today who have already created introductions. I don't know if you can use that now or you can come up with something else if you'd like. Anybody writing notes? Anybody wants to volunteer? Andre did his first. You want to come up and or stand up at your place and give your...
I like the way you have it laid out here, so I'm just going to try to read it
Fine.
as it's laid out right there.
Remember, this is a draft, and you keep working on it, keep improving it as you go along.
This is a quote I just used Thursday, so.
Good.
I'll start out with it. And it seemed to capture a lot of people's attention, so we'll try it out. All right, so, okay. So, in the mental institution, don't let them see you cry. Seriously. Starting from the bottom of depression, we can make it to the top. Andre has been at that low point in life that everyone is afraid of. Not only has he made the progression, but he's brought along a few friends. Achieve a new outlook on burning situations in your life today. Andre has written a book that speaks on all these topics and packaged this life-saving information just for you. And then go into whatever the speech is about.
Yeah, okay. Then that's what I was wanting to hear next. Today I'm going to talk to you and show you how to something.
Okay, so today Andre is going to talk to you about going through fire and glass and give you no fear speech techniques.
Okay, very good. What do y'all think? Need some work or good start? Good start? Good finish? Or?
It's a good start, and I'm intrigued. I definitely want to hear more.
Yeah.
Especially because there was the personal component of the introduction, and you're talking about how you've been at that low point. So.
Yeah. My one thought was your add-on line about fire, go through fire and glass. Well, I might want to hear that right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to go through fire and glass? Some things, okay. That's definitely signature. So definitely something unique for you. Somebody else?
I thought it was great, great material. Just needed passion.
Yes.
Put the passion behind it. And if you put passion behind it, you can't say anything wrong. But if it comes from the heart, it comes from something personal, it just needs to be put into the right sequence so that it doesn't drag on or it's not cut too short. And that's all the techniques are for. The techniques are just to put that passion into a well-served meal so that people can digest it.
Yeah.
I like how he came out, but he came out kind of not too convincing.
Okay.
At first, he wasn't too convincing, but from the moment he said his topic was going through fire and glass, then you would pop up because that's a good topic. And maybe if I would write something like this, the first thing I would ask, how many of you have ever gone through fire?
Yeah.
And right away, some people get burned. I mean, fire could be anything, but I know my audience would be thinking of, what kind of fire is he talking about?
Sure,
You know?
yeah.
Okay.
I thought about Sweet Baby James, Fire and Rain. And then I'm reading the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego going through the fire. That's
The fire goes different
goes
ways.
different ways.
Linton made a point that I want to reinforce as far as working on this and continuing to develop it. When you continue to develop it, you really start to create your own formula for it. So that if you start talking about something different, you always end up with the same general idea. So take that, work on it, and if you have a different topic, it'll be similar, you will have the same outline. But you start, as you develop your own introductions, you start to have an outline that you continue to use. It's never the same, but it's always something that you know, so it's easier to know, it's easier to do it because it's always going to be the same type of idea. It's a formula, but it works. Somebody else have one they'd like to practice.
You know, the reason why I said we don't do introductions, because myself, we don't do introductions at North Jacks. I never think so, and I'm kind of foreign to this, so this is my rough copy I sent Linda the other day when she asked for my Sergeant at Arms presentation. And I said, introducing Scott Gammon, and I see where I got room for improvement already just sitting here. Area 13 Governor, Advanced Communicator Bronze, Advanced Leader Bronze, Sergeant at Arms, and Advanced Global Leaders. When I first relocated to Jacksonville to work for Faithful Freedom Ministries, was informed that I would be required to attend Toastmasters. I thought Toastmasters was a place where they sat around drinking highballs and telling stories. Was I ever wrong? It was about building communication and leadership skills. Then I realized I could not be a leader in the ministry without these skills. Today I'm proud to say that Toastmasters is truly teaching me these skills. It started when I was elected SSA at North Jacks Toastmasters Club. So I'm looking forward to spending this time with you, helping to make you a better leader through your SSA position at your club. That's without a lot of practice. So, where I've seen for me that I can improve is on the very beginning. Like you said, Fred has been an active member for 13 years. He served. I just came out bluntly saying it at first.
Here's what I was trying to say. Scratch out that whole first part. I don't like that part.
Yeah.
That was what I'm saying, that's the bad way of doing it. Below the line is the better way to do it. You don't have to talk about that. Because what sort of feedback do you have for his introduction as sergeant? He is going to be training sergeants at arms. Sergeant at arms training at the officer training next week. That would be his introduction. What would you think? Be honest.
We already know if he's there, we already know we have some experience with it, so we don't, it's redundant. We can use something else that's more unique to him.
Yeah. Was there anything in there that was compelling or that you liked?
Since I raised my hand, I
Sure.
should say of course. But I think you have to be careful when you do start using initials. Because immediately, even though I understood it was a sergeant at arms detail,
SAA.
but as soon as you go SAA, in their mind, they might be distracted by that because they're thinking, okay, what's those initials stand for? Even though you've already said, I I think you have to be careful when you start using symbols or initials and that sort of thing.
What I loved about Scott's introduction, because he sent it to me, so I was privileged to read it first, was that he said, I was compelled to join Toastmasters. I thought Toastmasters was this. I found out it was that, and I found out that I needed it. That was very powerful, and I think the audience can really relate to that on a number of different levels.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you thought it was, I thought it was different too. Here I am, I need this, then this will help you.
When we're thinking about these, let's go back to the first question, to the goal.
Mhm.
And did Scott's introduction, or Andre's introduction, answer these questions? Did the audience believe that he could help them? Did the audience believe he wanted to help them? To me, the one line that really got me was that last line about showing how Sergeant at Arms can improve your leadership. Well, I'm thinking Sergeant at Arms is just, well, here's the task that I need to do. But if you put it in the perspective, it's part of a bigger picture. That just changes my whole perspective on what Sergeant at Arms is. Now I want to hear. Other than that, frankly, a lot of the people in that room are already Toastmasters for a long time, been Sergeant at Arms, been club officers, but they're in there because they're required to for the training. But you compel them by making them think differently, thinking that this is helping you become a better leader, not helping you become a better Sergeant at Arms. It helping you become, then you grab their attention. And the earlier you can say that, the earlier you're going to connect with them.
When you talked about you had to join Toastmasters, I believe that is important to keep in the introductions, because the Sergeant of Arms position is keeping the Toastmaster room environment policing and welcoming. So just kind of tying that with the importance of that position to keep the Toastmaster inviting for people, I think that would work real well together.
Right. Remember the first two rules: know your message, know your audience. You definitely have to connect, and that's why you connect with your audience. By making sure that they understand you're in the same situation.
Yeah, one other thing too, from the fact that he said that he would train them to be better Sergeant of Arms. The audience is looking for what she has just said, telling them what being a Sergeant of Arms, what is it? What is required of you?
Yeah.
And right then I could see that people wanting to hear exactly what is it? How can I fit in? What is important? What do you think is important in doing that? Is it faithfulness? What is it? You know, is it learning to be better leader? What?
Yeah. The first part, up until you said you joined and then you were Sergeant at Arms of the club, nothing of that said anything about what you're going to talk about, or why we would care. Once you said you were Sergeant at Arms, and then part of the leadership, now it impacts me. It's something I want to do. That helps. Other thoughts? Anybody else want to try one? Okay. We got 4 other people who are going to be giving introductions anyway, so we'll see how much they learn and how much they can do. Larry.
And the comment I was going to make earlier is I've never seen an introduction such as this. It is so good, and it's a reminder that we do need to give the Toastmaster of the day something to work with. And as Scott said, and I'm guilty of it, you arrive and go, oh, the introduction.
And the introduction says, I've been a member for this long, I'm this club officer. Nothing but what you're talking about. Set the stage.
Yeah.
Get the connection going before you even get up on that stage. with something to tell the audience you understand and you want to help them.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, Scott asked me, he said, well, do you have an introduction today? I said, no, not really. But no.
She hand wrote it, but that's all right. Okay.
You
You
know, I have a-
inspired me, Fred.
I have a little quick introduction. I'll go ahead and do it real quick. I was writing this letter to a person about some concerns I had, and I was told I had to do a good job at the end. But let me just say what my introduction was. My name is Jeannie K. Naomi Hardwick. I've been with Career Source 16 years. I am an NCWP, which is a National Certified Workforce Professional, and a Florida Workforce Professional 3, past member of the Board of Governors. As a DTM, I hold Vice President offices in 2 clubs, Lydian Bradley and JU alumni. I'm a certified Sunday school teacher. I speak in the 7-Up ministry along with Elise, and I'm on the NAACP. How I've given back to the community is I work summers with the students at JU in the TRIO program. I performed 19 monologues, or administered 19 monologues last year, sang in the choir, and I work one night a month at the kids ministry. Then I go into, that's my introduction, then I go into, I have some concerns. And when I got into the concerns part, I said I didn't do a good job. But that was my introduction.
What was the speech about?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, the speech about was I have some concerns, some things that I've seen, so I'm introducing myself to you so you can know, who I am, and I'm going to tell you what my concerns are.
Okay.
Oh,
Wouldn't you start with something saying your concern?
What's your
No.
concern? Yeah.
Well,
And weave in your credentials into it?
But there's some things I saw in the organization that didn't look, how you gonna pious. So
Yeah.
I figured I'd start by introducing
Okay,
myself
let
first.
me ask this question, because when I started, I would write my own introductions the same way. I've been MAC member 16 years, I've been division area governor 2 times, area governor 4 times. I usually would even say I was area governor of the year in 2002. And I put a whole bunch more detail into that. And I start to think, who am I impressing except myself? I'm just bragging to myself. Oh boy, I'm proud of myself. But it's not helping the audience.
Oh, okay.
But don't you think that experience, as I listened, I'm thinking, she's got a great background, she's got experience, and then she tells us her concerns for the organization and where we're headed. Not only now do I know where she's probably going to take us, but with that background, it's so broad,
Sure.
Yeah.
As a thought, because there are a lot of credentials there, as Fred was saying, if you weave this in somehow, so I'm not sure what your concerns were, but let's say it was disorganization with a youth group or something.
Right.
And then you state, I have a concern because as a so-and-so and so-and-so working with children, I see a potential issue. And as someone who has been involved in the Toastmasters community, I think something that we can do to help you and the organization, somehow weaving in those different, as opposed to, because if I got a letter like that, I would probably skip the whole thing, because I'm like, well, what's your point? I don't need to know all of that to hear that you actually have a point to make. Especially if it's at work or a business where you're very busy, you're just like, cut to the chase. What is your issue? And
One of the better military acronyms I ever heard was BLUF. BLUF. Bottom line up.
front, yeah.
Start with, because like Debbie said, most of the time, if you go real long, no one's going to listen, no one's going to read it. But if you catch right at the beginning, okay, you got my attention, I'm going to look more. Bottom line up front.
Maybe you should have bottom line up front of that for this.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
Can I make a comment here? I understand what she said, because I remember I went to a meeting and this was a minister, and I'm not lying, he had a whole page and a half typed about who he is and what he has accomplished, and I said, I don't care.
That's when you start doing this.
Yeah, and because of that, I was so turned off that everything he said went against me.
That's a really good point, really good story.
So,
Yeah,
you're
it's the
right,
same
you
thing.
have to be careful. Because for me, if I was going to, that's the type of person, if I'm going to give an introduction, my name is Ellis Wall. I am here today to talk to you, and so because I'm concerned about I don't want anything else.
Then you can add in the credentials to say, I'm an authority, that must be, so that's why you should listen to me. But yeah. But like that old example with Linton introducing the trainer. You don't want to listen to about a trainer who had gone to your high school or had a degree in philosophy, but you do want to hear his credentials as far as training or bodybuilding or whatever.
Yeah.
You want to hear those related to it, but you don't want to hear all the things that don't matter.
That he has been through.
Don't matter to the topic that you're wanting to
Right.
talk about. Thank you, Lynn.
He looks so serious.
He's preparing for his speech.
Poker face.
Oh no, now I'm gonna have Lady Gaga in my head next.
She was already there.
Fred, I was fortunate at the Beaches Club, when we were at the Beaches Club, to hear you speak many times about professional speaking related topics, and in some way I was comparing, the Toastmasters model with your model, and with an introduction often, fellow Toastmasters and guests, things like that. There are some things that we're used to doing that we wouldn't do in another environment. Linton is also focused on leadership, and I believe he's one of the fastest progressing personally. He made the fastest progress of your DTM probably of anybody in the city. Many people don't know that, but if he has a number of different credentials that he could use, and I think that also relates to his business, because there are people there who come for fitness, but he has certainly other things to offer. So it just depends on the circumstances. But that's what we're doing here in a way. We're unlearning, reworking, and applying. So thank you for that.
Thanks. Thank you. Good. I'm going to follow up. You mentioned one thing. And Alice, you were talking about talking to the audience versus a person. Most of you have heard me speak several times. When is the last time you heard me say, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, distinguished officers or judges and guests? 5 years ago. I want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to the guests. I want to talk to you. And if you are not one, it doesn't matter. I want to talk to you. So I never, in a speech, I never use that again. So thanks for reminding me about that.
And another thing, and this is so important for any group, you pounded into my brain, don't do anything for free, don't do anything for free. So while we discussed here with the introductions, that we might not bring all those credentials into the introduction, the fact that you have titles recognized around the world means something, and you're not going to get titles recognized in the world in Toastmasters if you're doing non-manual speeches or non.
Sure.
That's why I had my manual today, just bring it up.
Good point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So here's what we're going to do. You're going to start to write a different type of introduction. And every time you give a speech in your club or anywhere else, it will be starting to follow that format. You have the advantage, because you're a Toastmaster, of practicing it and getting that sort of feedback before you start to use it out in, quote unquote, the real world, once you leave that door. Start to take advantage of that opportunity at Toastmasters. Practice it. Develop that formula that we talked about. See what sort of response you get. See how they will connect or not connect. Even ask your evaluator, what does he think about the introduction that the Toastmaster gave? And start to create your own signature introduction, one that you will be known for, as well as your topic and your audience and your message.
But it varies, your topic changes, right? It will vary.
As a professional speaker, your general topic will be the same, and your general message will be the same. Your specific one for your audience may be different, depending on what you want to talk about, but generally, you will be known as a motivating speaker using Christ, or a fitness guru. And your topic is specific, may change based on the audience, but generally you are known for that. You would not be known for fitness, because you're not involved in that. Okay? But you would be known generally for that. So signature is what you are known as. When people see you, they will think this topic. When people see Linton, they think of this topic. When they see Linda, they will think of volunteer leadership. That's your signature. And you'll have a signature introduction.